Welcome back. I'm playing Warhammer 40,000 Battlesector, and we'll get started on our next multiplayer matchup. I'm going to be playing as the new post-patch Adepta Sororitas, and we're going to be going against the Astra Militarum. We're going to be playing on the bridge map, which is strategic command, 2,000 points, 80-point target, 8-turn limit. So we'll see what I can do here. I think I have lots of options to fight against the Astra Militarum now post-patch, so we'll see if this build will be effective or not. I think the bridge by definition has an advantage for us since they don't have any jump infantry. So I have our Canonists, our Sister Superior, 2 Hospitallers, 4 Celestians with Flamers, 4 Sister Repentia. I have 2 Immolators, both with the Twin Multi-Melta, and then I have the 2 Rhinos as well, because my hope is that I can just run everybody in and keep my infantry protected until I can unload them right in the face of our enemy here. And then I'll send our 2 Celestians down the center to charge and try to capture the center point. And then I'll have another force here trying to get these guys into combat. And then he should be able to just run back into the Rhino transport. And then we'll run you down to here and run you over to here. And then I think if I unload a Repentia now, that'll give them more movement when we're ready to capture the point over there next turn. And so with that, we should have 2 points next turn. And our opponent ran up and captured his point on his side. So we'll run you over to here and here. Now, interesting, when I was getting the Auspex movement from our opponent, it looks like he's mass moving on the bridge to our right, and I didn't really see much for movement of troops on the center. He had a couple on the center, but then none on this left bridge. So if he's going as major forces here, it may make sense for me just to pull back and then use the center area here as cover, because as long as I stay right next to the edge here, that should be full cover from everybody that's on the bridge above me. And then I can just run all my forces then into the center here. And then it'll force him down some choke points here with these stairs. And that should work to our advantage, because then he'll have to overextend to fight us. Now the big thing is with the bridge being broken here, they get better accuracy against us. So I think what I'll do is I'll just turn these guys like that. Move you up to here, and then we'll just use your armor. And use your armor. And he's got some movement. He must be using Kasserkin with the overcharge ability. Yep, hotshot volley gun. Oh shit, he's got a Basilisk. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. So not only did it hit us, but then it spread to the nearby area and struck our other guys. He's got a Lehman Russ. He's sitting there trying to shoot into our immolators here. That sounds like a Rogaldorn. Although the Basilisks also sound like that, but that looked like a Rogaldorn shot. Yeah, so he's using his hotshot volley guns to use their overcharge ability, because he really wants to kill my immolator here, it looks like. But then that's going to put them on that recharge for the next 3 turns, and they have quite a significant reduced shots now. So that really weakened them down. Alright, well, let's move everybody up, I guess. I could pop another smoke, but really we're already kind of in the smoke, so I think we just do something like that. I would like to heal you. If I run you down to here, you'll be in the smoke. I can also unload guys to try to capture this point. Then we'll run you over to here. Yeah, so he's got a Lehman Russ Destructor, Demolisher, I mean, and a Rogel Dorn. Yeah, I can't unload at an angle, that's right. He does have quite a bit of Overwatch here. I could shoot into those guys, but honestly I think I probably just want to unload the Celestians here. Capture the point, so now we've got 3 points. I can move you up. He's got a sergeant there.
We are invincible.
Let's move you up 1. Unfortunately, he did get the shot into us. But because of their ability, you know, we get the bonus damage, so we are able to guarantee a kill of those Kasserkins. So I think what I'm going to do is just try to guarantee some damage against this Demolisher tank. I mean, it's not exactly a lot of damage, but I think every little bit is going to help. Because really, they're going to be my main target here.
Heretics, mutants, Xenos. We are invincible in his light.
Now, I do have a hospitaler over here, so I could just bring you out and heal these guys back up. And then we'll hide you into cover, since you are my commander.
With faith, we serve.
And now I've got these hospitalers at full health. I doubt they're going to move forward further. But I do want to have you a little bit closer in case he does. I could move you along the edge, but then they might just poke out and then start shooting you. So maybe we'll just put you onto Overwatch here. So he's shooting into our immolator yet. These guys are using their overcharge ability again. And so he's stacking them up, so every time he does that, he's getting, I think, 20 or 30% less shots. Alright, the Basilisk is using the barrage ability. And thankfully it looks like he missed all 3 of those shots. Did a regular attack there. He's got some more guardsmen.
Vigilant sisters, the unworthy approach us.
I hear a lot of troops moving around, but I can't see anybody. Oh, yep, some grenades.
Enemy scouts our position.
He's trying to pull him back, it looks like. Rogel Dorn's moving up. He's using the heavy stubbers there. He should have just used them to finish off. Yeah, there you go. I was going to say you should be using all that stuff to take those guys out. Oh, I bet he used the Castigator, maybe. Alright, he does have a tank commander here.
Yes.
Alright, and I can do the movement.
With haste.
And then if you put it on your character, it seems... I think it's a bug. I don't think it's actually meant to be this way. But it gives you 2 additional squares. So it's like it goes back to how it used to be. So if I do that, it looks like everybody's going to get the bonus movements. So we'll do that.
Standing by.
And let's just move you up to here. And here. I can pop smoke here. But I don't necessarily want everybody on top there to be getting evasion too. But then when my guys get up there, it could be nice to have them in cover. I've got Repentia and Hospitalers, so those would be the best guys to get up here. So let's just do it. You've got the increased movement, so I can run you all the way up to here. So I think that's what I want to do. And then what I can do is unload the Repentia.
Closer to redemption or closer to death.
Now,
Whichever he favors.
I'm going to have to move you up to here. Ah, damn it, he did land the attack. I was hoping he wasn't going to since he was shooting through his tank.
Go forth.
Let's get everybody increased health and damage reduction, and we'll charge into here. Okay, 176, not bad. We'll attack again.
My eviscerator is hit.
Yep, nice. So that's a good 300 damage there for our one unit. So that definitely should help us. And then we should be able to close the gap here. We'll start running you up here. And run you over to here. And now I've got you. I guess we'll just move you up to here. The big thing is I don't want him to explode because that will damage the guys on the stairs.
We are invincible in his light.
I can bring the Celestians over here. I don't want a flame up top there. It's going to just attack my guy and not do anything. Alright, good. Soaked up that Overwatch. Unfortunately, I can't seem to flame up top. I thought maybe I could,
Faith guides my feet.
but maybe I'm just not remembering that correctly. Which is unfortunate, because I thought I was going to get double attacks with her,
As you command,
because she's already at 99 momentum.
we gladly give
So I
our
guess we'll
lives.
just do that. And make him waste an attack on you. I think there's a really good chance that my Immolator's going to die. So I think we better just unload you.
In service, there is life and truth.
I can bring you up to here and have you start shooting into the troopers. I can also just move you up one. Have you shoot this way, I guess. Have you try to get some model kills. Or not. There you go. One of the rising face stacks.
My faith is strong.
You know what? That Immolator actually has a twin multi-melta. I forgot that. I was thinking it was a flamer. So that's a bit of a disappointment
Faith guides our
there.
feet to walk the righteous path.
And then I got my hospital here.
With faith we serve.
We'll just put that on in case he uses another barrage on us.
Who needs my
And I'd really like you to be closer. But I also don't want you to get killed, so maybe we just bring you back behind here.
I serve
And
him.
that should keep you safe. And we got our movement, so we should hopefully just be able to close the gap here next turn, assuming we don't get blown up. Alright, missed shot, grenades, shooting into there, increasing their accuracy. That's pretty decent damage. Okay, he's just not killing them. It's all that evasion with all their momentum. But what he could do is just throw grenades, and that would be a guaranteed hit. So that's how you would get past that normally. But maybe he doesn't have enough guardsmen, I'm not sure. Yeah, killing the hospital there, that's the right thing to do. Because she can heal. Oh, he definitely went with a heavy Kasserkin squad here.
Protect your humble servant.
Oh my gosh. He's just getting... Oh, alright. Well, that definitely did it. I guess he was probably trying to keep that guy for Overwatch, and he's trying to pull the tanks back to hold this spot. He's still got his basilisks here. Alright, and he's just giving me more and more stacks of that blessed armor. Starting to run these guys around so he can try to get some captures, I'm guessing. You might also try to do a Valkyrie drop to try to cross the bridge on me. That would be unfortunate. Alright, well, let's take a look here. So we got one more turn with our increased movement. You've got one more turn with your increased movement. I should be able to just run you over here and I can start unloading these sisters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that'll be 1, 2 more sisters. That's 3 sisters of Repentia I have left. That should definitely be enough to start screwing up their shit. If I put you over to here, you'll be in smoke. And then if I put you all the way up to here, I can decide if I want to put you into smoke or not. Or just pop more smoke. Alright, so we've got the Repentia. Let's unload, because it looks like he's not in cover. Oh shit, look how far you can charge. Well, I might want to do that, because each square I go gives me 10% extra damage. And if you can go all the way over here, I think that's what I'm going to do. Nice. Alright. Well. Now I'm kind of at a loss. How do I want to do this? I guess let's unload you. We'll charge you into here. Try to get the kill. You did, but now you're going to blow up on both of those. Okay, I did that order wrong. Alright, I should have killed the Rogel first and then charged in with the other guy, so I didn't just kill both of my guys here. Alright, good. And we'll kill him because that's the commander, and we don't want him using strafing runs on us. Unfortunately, if I do that, I'm going to be killing my guys. Because I think all the sisters are about to die. If I bring you up to there, you should be able to flame those guys. So maybe I just guarantee move you over to here. And then I can make sure our sisters of Repentia can get over here and kill the tank commander. Yeah, I didn't think you were going to be able to charge. Alright, good. He's dead. Just killed a bunch of my Repentia, unfortunately. I could run him over here to start attacking the Castercam, but I think I'd rather just take this point back. Alright. And now I still got you. Now, why do you not have more movement?
Yes.
You don't have the movement either.
With haste.
Alright, so maybe it is a bug then. I guess I'll find out. If I use this and they get the movement, then that tells me that increased distance is actually not as intended. And I do. So yeah, even though it gives you an indication that you're getting that movement, it is actually a bug. And I'll flame here. Oh. I forgot he was a multi-melta. Damn it. Well, I guess I can heavy bolter him. Because I do want to kill this guy, because now that I've killed his commander, he should have a much lower chance of being able to drop guys behind me and do some ninja capping. I kind of hate to waste my Sister Superior to come over here and kill these guys just to have her die next turn. But I think I gotta try to guarantee a kill here, so I don't end up throwing things by having all my guys fighting over here and then him having guys backcapping. And then with all these models here, she should have enough raising faith to be able to go for another round of attacks. That's one of the good things about fighting these Cadians, is they give you tons of stacks here. So now they're dead. We're closing the gap on the Basilisks. He's got guys here. You've now got movement that I can move you up to. And then I have the Canonist still. So I think I'm just going to move you up to here. And then I'll move you down to here, and you'll also be in smoke. And now I can bring down my Celestians. And I can run them down to here. And I can double flame.
Faith guides my feet to walk the
I think I'd rather double flame these guys. I could have gone from the other direction too. And that would stop those other guardsmen.
We are invincible in his light.
Who needs my aid?
Well, maybe I'll bring you up to here. I'll unload the canoness.
I will.
Can I give her, yep, extra AP. We're going to do that. Now, because it's a tank, I think I want to do Divine Deliverance.
Light fills us.
That'll let me move behind them here. And now I'll get 3 full strength attacks instead of 2.
My blade will mete out his
Right?
light.
1, 2, and 3. Yep, so each one doing about 50. So if I get really good hits, I'll get the kill, but I think I'd rather just guarantee that he doesn't do anything with his main attack here. Unfortunately, he will have his other weapons on cooldown.
Redemption.
I suppose if I would have flamed from the other direction, that would have stopped these guys from being able to capture that point again. Well, not necessarily. The other Castellans, I suppose, could attack me here.
With faith we serve.
So, I just feel like I should be able to flame these guys from down here. No, for sure it's heavy cover. How about here? Yep, heavy cover. I could have swore that I was playing a match before where that was a thing, but I guess not.
We will purge them all.
Alright, so we got everybody here. We should easily be able to kill that Lehman Russ next time. We'll body block. And then our opponent ended up quitting. So, a little bit unfortunate, but nice match. This build definitely worked out very well for us here. So, you know, and I feel like the Flamers work well against killing the Guardsmen, obviously, because you can just easily run in there and just flame those infantry down and you'll get guaranteed kills. If they kill one of your models, then you'll have the increased damage output for your other Flamers, and that will allow you to kill even a Kasserkin squad. And then those guys have enough armor that they can typically tank a bunch of grenades in their face or a bunch of attacks. Now he decided to go with the volley gun variant, which does give you that overcharge ability, but the problem is it takes 3 turns for you to get that back to how it used to be, and then for those 3 turns I think you have 20 or 30% less shots, so then it dramatically decreases the amount of damage they were doing. Now I think his thought process was oh, I'll just use the attacks, it's going to take him a couple of turns to cross the bridge and then I'll be back up to attack again. But once I was able to start closing the distance, I think it caused him to panic because he started to try to stack it up on itself, and that adds the debuff in. So then the damage was precipitously dropping from those guys, and it was allowing me to get some easy kills. Now, I think it's kind of interesting to have the Sergeant. I think it's always nice to, because I think they only cost like 80 points. So that's like the cheapest HQ unit you can get, and then you'd always have a backup if your main unit gets killed. Now, he had his tank commander so far away from his Rogel Dorn. I still think using the Rogel Dorn for double shots with that Pound Him to Dust ability is the best way to do it, especially with all the side weapons there. Because had he had all those side weapons doing double attacks, he would have blown up my Immolator, he would have killed the infantry that was around there, and then he would have had his Basilisks and other guys able to just focus me down, and he also would have killed the guys that were still in the vehicle, and that would have all worked to his advantage there. Now again, the big downside to the Astra Militarum is, yes, they have the ability to use the Valkyrie strikes to get guys over difficult terrain, but if they don't have that, they have no jump infantry. So if you have area to use cover and use the terrain to your advantage where they can't easily outmaneuver you, you could definitely do some very powerful outmaneuvering for him. And so I was able to run down that middle section, and then his tanks just weren't able to get good shots. And now with the Sisters Rupentia, you know, they've been totally reworked, and that charge ability is a real nightmare here, because they can do a ton of damage while they're charging in there, and they can do quite a bit of distance, especially if you start putting that plus movement buff onto the transport, because that also includes the guys that are inside the transport. So now you're back up to 4 movement because you're nullifying the 2 movement that you're losing with the unload, and then they get +1 movement to be able to charge. So I guess that's why their models have such big legs. I thought maybe just being the Brides of the Emperor, they spent a lot of time on their knees, but they're just meant for crossing distance here and just doing major damage, because I think it's like 10% per square that they go through. So that if you're doing all 5 squares, you're talking about a 50% damage increase. Now, I was a little bit sloppy with how I was running those guys in there. I definitely lost more Sisters Repentia than I had to. But in the end, it didn't really matter because I was able to get the other kills. And then I kept forgetting that I had my freaking immolators as multi-melta setups, thinking I was going to use them to kill vehicles and not as the flamers. I just almost always have them as a flamer variant, so I kept forgetting how I had them equipped. Now, thankfully, I was able to mitigate that with using that Sister Superior to help us mop things up. And then he went for a double Basilisk build that can be highly effective, especially on this bridge map, because the Basilisks work best on this map because there's such difficulty closing the distance. You can kind of move them around to be a real pain in the ass to get the kill. But if they're not getting enough kills, then they're not paying for themselves, and you spent now over 500 points getting them out onto the field, and so he just wasn't getting enough payment out there. Unfortunately, his barrage abilities, while he started out really strong with hitting my first unit there and then having the attack splash onto the other one, his barrages and things kept missing, and then when he was using them to attack my immolators, they were getting damage reductions with the Blessed Hall, and then he had some grazed hits, so that barely did any damage, and so it was making those guys harder and harder to kill, especially because he kept attacking with his infantry that already had lower amount of shots because of his other abilities I was using. So he just kept allowing my vehicles to get tankier and tankier, especially as I was sitting there in the smoke, which was giving me additional evasion. Now, in retrospect, the other immolator was also a twin multi-melt variant, so I probably could have shot into that Rogel Dorn from down below, and had I had made both of those attacks, I might have actually been able to kill that Rogel Dorn on the very first turn. I don't think it really would have changed anything. In fact, it may have actually paradoxically worked worse for me, because then he wouldn't have been freaking out about killing those Adepta Sororitas so much, because they would have already been, or the Sister Repentia, because they would have almost been dead with the explosion of the tank anyways. So it may have actually been a blessing in disguise from the Emperor that I was too stupid to remember what kind of kits I had there. The biggest learning point of this mission for me, though, is when I was playing around with those momentum abilities. If you put it on the caster, it gives you it looks like you get +2 AoE effect on the spell, but it looks like when those are on the periphery, because I was playing around with it after I completed this mission to see if it truly bugged out or whether it's just a thing. So it's actually a bug. So it shows that you have a 2+ squares for your AoE effect, but the guys that are on those 2 squares that are added on, they don't actually get the benefit. And I could have swore when I was playing with the momentum and command points for my training mission that it did, but when I went back and looked at it, I was fooled just because I got so excited, and the guys that I thought were outside of the range were actually in the range from the original copy, and so I thought they were getting the bonuses, and when they really weren't. And I verified that that was the fact for the increased accuracy, ranged accuracy, and also the increased damage and armor piercing. So it doesn't work for any of the abilities. So just be aware of that, because in my momentum video I did say that that would add the AoE effect to it, but now that I played around with that more, that is in fact actually a bug, and that is not how it was intended. In terms of feedback for our opponent, certainly the caster can be a decent option, because your sisters are going to be bringing lots of infantry. I think it's more likely going to be beneficial for you, however, to use a heavy flamer build, because again, even though the sisters have armor and they're going to have that evasion, you totally nullify that with using a flamer heavy build. And then if I'm bringing like a heavy melee force with me, then I'm going to have to walk through all those flamers, and I think that's going to easily get them weak, where the rest of your infantry then can easily get the kill, or you can then just feed that experience to your tanks as they get the final attacks. Now, I do think the Demolishers are an excellent choice, because had you just landed those attacks, you pretty much would have one-shotted my most of my infantry there, assuming they weren't all buffed up because of that high damage, armor piercing, and then the 4 splash. They can practically one-shot most of the Adepta Sororitas units there. So I think that'd be my main areas of feedback for you. And then just remember, the tank commander's main ability is pound them to dust, so being able to use that can definitely help you. And then the other potential thing you could do is use the blitz 'em ability if your tanks are really locked down and they couldn't get the movements, because you tried to shoot with that Rogel Dorn at point blank range, which effectively gave you bad accuracy. But had you just moved that tank commander over and given them the blitz ability, that would have been doing significant amounts of damage with that charge attack, and then you wouldn't have had to waste so many of those other attacks to kill those models. And just remember, you also have the grenades too, which are a guaranteed attack, and those Sisters Repentia have 1 armor because they're just wearing t-shirts. So all grenades are going to be doing almost full damage to them, because it's going to be a 1 armor piercing attack versus a 1 armor. So there really shouldn't be much of a damage mitigation there, and that also allows you to bypass the evasion. So and then I know what you were doing there with your infantry. You were trying to surround your sergeant so he would have all those evasion stacks, but then when you are playing against an opponent that is likely to have a heavy flamer build, they can just flame down those infantry and rapidly kill them. Now yes, it will allow your commander to survive for another turn, but unfortunately the turn where your original commander is killed and then your other guy's going to get promoted, you don't get any command points for that turn, and so there wasn't a huge benefit to keeping him alive, because you were still body blocking my troops just with all your other infantry. So all you were doing is keeping them together for me to be able to run in there with my flamers and mop them up. But I certainly understand what you were thinking by doing that. And while generally it can make some sense to have all your forces in one location on the bridge map, for the Imperial Guard, I think that's a really bad idea, because then if you're not able to secure dominance on your side, you then have to run down those stairs, cross the middle, run up the stairs on the other way, and there's so many choke points for you to be there that they can really jam-pack the area to stop you from doing that, and then you'll just never cross the bridge, and you'll end up losing just from strategic command points, because there'll be so many turns where your opponent will have 3 points while you only have the 2. So if you're going to do that, you need to push heavily in the middle and then have a support force on the bridge on one side, so you can do like a push of 2 instead of 3. I think that's viable, but generally you don't want to do a push of 1, especially with how the Auspex says, because it was able to tell me that most of your units were on that one side, and that just made me, oh, all of his guys are there. Well, we don't want to be pushing from that side, so let's just run down the middle and bypass your strategy. So that is one of the downsides to the Auspex factor that they have in this game. It definitely gives me some mixed feelings, because it really prevents you from able to ninja moving guys around unless they're stealth. So I hope that helps and gives you some feedback for things that you can try if you're having some difficulty on a map like this, especially with the Astra Militarum. But otherwise, it seemed like you had a pretty good understanding of most of the other things. I think you were just saving up your command points either to use a Death Streak missile to be able to blow up all my guys that were getting all grouped up in the middle, or doing some Valkyrie strafing runs, which definitely would have killed most of my infantry and weak vehicles that were already injured. So thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please give my channel a like and subscribe. Encourage me to post more content for you. Have a great day.